Stop talking.
Oh my god.
What's up, I'm sorry.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Music Box, the show where I, Bimler, enjoyer of music, give an album to my friend Pyrine.
Hello. I wanted to let you guys know that I have received some of your prayers and some of your sacrifices, and I want you to know they're not going to waste, alright? I'm currently feeding them into my next reckoning. It's going to be happening soon, so, big things coming up. Stay tuned for that.
And after a week of listening to it, we discuss it. This week, we listened to The New Sound by Geordie Greep. One that I was... Oh, man. Okay. Let me give some background on this record to start. It was one of the high... Like on Rate Your Music is like 2 or 3 highest rated album of 2024. It came out right around my birthday. Geordie Greep, frontman of the band Black Midi, who's been known for innovating and changing up a lot of things in the noise rock and jazz fusion scene. Very, very cool stuff there. And he's carried a lot of that into his solo album, which personally I think trumps all of Black Midi's records. Not by a lot, because Black Midi's very good. But this new record is really a force to be reckoned with. And giving it to you, I was about... I believe I said this to you. I was about like 70% sure you were going to like it and you were going to think it was good. I was about like 15% sure you were going to be like, it's a little confusing, a little pretentious. I don't know how I feel about it. And then like a 15% chance it was going to absolutely destroy you. So why don't you tell us a bit about your reaction to this album?
Guys, guess who got good RNG? It was me. It was me. I had literally no idea what to expect. I've heard the name Geordie Greep before in like a few circles. I've heard Black Midi. I think I've heard like a few other things. What's it? The race is about to begin. I listened to that like a few times. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. Nothing that really like caught me though. Nothing really drew me in. So when I listened to it, I didn't know what to expect at all. And I want to kind of say that Geordie Greep is like fucking evil because I feel like I was tricked. I was tricked and I was trapped. They lured me in with like a bait on a stick. And as soon as I got like maybe to the third or fourth song, I was hooked. This album did destroy me. I've been like spending this past week just like going through relapse from it, and every single time I've gone back, I feel like I'm about to break down because this album is so good. It honestly makes me a bit concerned talking about it because I don't know if I'm going to be able to be objective about it. I love this one so much. It really spoke to me, like in a way I don't think I've ever experienced in music before at all in general. Like it just went straight for my heart with a skewer. It was crazy.
No, I mean, I think this album, more than anything that Geordie Greep's ever had his grubby little hands on, is definitely meant to do that. Basically, like, it's weirdly vulnerable and personal, especially for him. Like, anything Black Midi has made, personal is, like, far from the first word I'd use to describe it. It's very, like, eccentric, and sometimes it just means straight up nothing. And then sometimes, if it does, it's usually focused outward or telling a story and not coming from somewhere personal, where I think the new sound really does. And even if it's not just from Geordie Greep himself, it's more just attacking your emotional center in a very, like, oh, whoa, kind of way. I mean,
He grabs you by the neck and chokes you. It's crazy.
Yeah, many such cases on this record. Like, the one that personally does it for the most for me is the opening track, Blues, which, oh my god. The entire, like, back third of the song feels like an exorcism and, like, rips your identity to shreds as well as your physical form and splays it across the end of the song. It's honestly marvelous and one of my favorite songs of the last year. But, yeah, and it's not the only time he does stuff like that. I mean, Terra hits very heavy. The big monolithic penultimate track, The Magician, is an absolute bulldozer. I mean, what tracks did it the most for you?
The thing is, it's like, it's always like a very much of a theme for me where I tend to like the first few tracks and the last few tracks of most albums, and it's definitely the case here too. Blues, Terra, Holy Holy are just fucking preen. Like they are so good. We should talk about them more. Oh, I fucking just slapped my microphone as hard as I can. I am so sorry.
Wow,
It was
professional.
unintentional. What I was gonna say is that I think Blues, Terror, and Holy Holy are very, very good. I think Holy Holy out of the first three is probably the one that does it the most for me. But fucking what is it? What is it? As if Waltz and the Magician like
Ooh.
actually destroy me. Like I
Yeah.
one of those tracks actually managed to bring me for just a moment. First time I guess song's ever done this, just out of like pure instrumentation. The tears for a second. There was a little bit of welling up. There was a little bit of the waterworks. You know what I mean?
Oh
A
my
little bit of the
goodness.
waterworks because
Whoa.
it's like this has like this entire album. You mentioned it before, and I definitely agree. It has a lot of themes of ego and was it libido and
Yes.
desperation. For me,
Yes.
those three things are like yes, yes. That is I don't usually say this is just me because I feel like when it comes to media, it's designed to be that way. You're supposed to be able to relate to some piece of media, so of course, like people are gonna say, "Yeah, that's just me" to Ryan Gosling. But I could not help but saying it. Like every single line in this record, and the lyrication is just so good. I have notes that I'm reading off for this, and these are the longest notes I've ever taken because at some point I just stopped like doing a whole lot. I went to genius.com and just started like copy pasting the lyrics just because like, yeah, that's going in, that's going in, that's going in. I might as well just read the entire album as like a book because they're
Yeah.
all so good.
No, that's true. Hold on. I'm gonna fix my heater is right here, and it's on high, and it's a bit much. Dude, it's so fucking cold. It's so
It
I
was
saw
like 8
you
degrees this
tweeted
morning
about
for me.
it. Same. It's even colder up here probably because I'm more up north. But like, dude, it was fucking awful. Anyway, I'm getting
Right,
sidetracked.
right, right now it's fucking 15 degrees outside for me. What if I killed myself?
Yeah, it's also 15 degrees. Oh my god, we're twinning. It's also 15 up
God,
here.
oh my God.
Wow. Wow. No.
Wow.
I absolutely get what you mean by those tracks. Like, just, oh my god, the last two, they very much wrap up and tie together the themes of the whole record and kind of the sort of story that's being told about this guy who may or may not be Geordie Greep, who's like, and that's genuine. I actually have no idea. Who's desperate for a connection, has this sort of overwhelming main character syndrome,
Just like me.
Exactly, just like me, and even like specific things like the As If Waltz, for example, or Holy Holy, talking about like prostitution and like the duality of that versus like a genuine connection and the longing for that. I mean, As If Waltz being the biggest like focus on that, just fantasizing about like, oh man, you know, I can pay this person and have sex with them whenever I want, but God, to be with them for more than an hour and to just be a part of their life. And that's like, damn, bro. That's messed up.
It's oddly profound in its own way. All of this stuff, like I think when it comes to the themes, can be like I guess kind of implemented into a situation in your life. The way he kind of does it is that there's a very easy way to relate to it, to connect to it. He does it in a way where it's like, dude, that's not exactly like I do. Like I don't have sex with prostitutes every single night, but I do have like this one friend who's like, I don't know, I wish I had like a better relationship with, but it feels like it's very surface level and we only get to hang out every now and then. It does a lot of that stuff, which I think is so good. It is so good. It is so good. Like I don't want to say it over and over again, but I'm gonna have to say it. It's just it destroys me.
Yeah.
I really want to get like just deeper stuff about some of the specific songs though.
No, that's fair. I mean, I remember after listening to The Magician, you were just straight up inconsolable. Like, you were just like, why would you fucking do this to me? Like, what's wrong with you? How, like, what, you've hurt me.
Dude, I was fucking like,
Oh no. Pyrine? 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 Oh no. I'm waiting for the DM to roll in. Oh no. Oh, Okay. Hey, did you guys know this album came out on October 4th? Do you know what other albums came out on October 4th? Uh, the second album by The Smile that came out last year that was pretty good, and Night Palace by Mount Erie, which is also really good, and then a new Godspeed You Black Emperor record, which I've also heard is very good. I haven't listened to it myself, but that day was kind of crazy for music. I, I, what do you have to say, Pyrene? I hope he comes back soon. I hope he didn't.
What
Hello?
the fuck? Why you do this to me? Why you do this to me?
Huh? He's alive?
I see how it is. I crash you, you crash me. I see how it is.
I didn't. What are you talking about? What? I didn't crash you.
I don't know what happened. 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 I got sniped. Someone just. I don't know why that happened. I heard you saying like Pyrine. Are you good? What? Are you good? Before I just like disappeared into nothing.
Oh
God.
You're back.
Okay.
You're back. That's good news.
What was I talking
that's
about?
Wonderful. You were talking about The Magician, I believe.
Oh yeah, I was doing like as the song was going through the fucking Pomni stare, just the slow zoom up to me as like, I was just genuinely speechless. You really have to listen to it to understand like why it's so goated. Like, okay, first of all, genuinely, if you're listening to this podcast, you really just need to listen to like the album either right before or right after this, just to like get what we're talking about. You do it anyway. We only review good stuff here, you know what I mean? And this is good stuff. But especially The Magician, it's one of those like 10 minutes plus songs that just takes you through like an entire journey where it's like, it's at the point where I couldn't even like visualize a thought in my head. I couldn't even just like react. I was just there completely glued to the screen, just like jaw on the ground like a fucking cartoon character. Just like, ugh. It was so good.
Yeah, I feel like The Magician very much functions as like the gigantic finale of the record. It's not the last track, but it is the grand finale. I do think it's probably best first experienced after listening to the rest of the album. I mean, I would recommend you listen to the whole album. I think the whole album's amazing. But The Magician is definitely like, it takes all of the great things about the previous songs and then ties it back together and just hits you with a semi-truck. Mm-hmm. And it's phenomenal. I don't want to gush about The Magician too much longer because it's just kind of undeniably like the thing on this record. Like it just is. It's the song that everybody talks about. Fun fact: I don't know if I actually told you this. It was a Black Midi song, like not a released one, but they played it live at Black Midi concerts before Geordie went on his own.
I actually was looking at that when I was taking my notes. I was taking a look at like some of the bio pages of the songs, and I saw that they released it back in like 2022, right?
Yeah, well, not released, but they started playing it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
I can do research. I'm capable.
No, I know. You had your little genius escapade, which might have been the first time you've actually done that for notes, which I think goes to show how much this album affected you.
Yes.
But oh my gosh, I'm really glad you did. But moving away from the album's themes a little bit, can we talk about the sound of the new sound? Like, oh my god, it's immaculately produced, like straight out the gate. It sounds great, but the sounds he actually uses, there's like a little bit of samba, there's a lot of jazz rock and like noise rock, just so much different sounds and experiments and instrumentations all layered in. Even like more instrumental tracks like the title track or Bongo Season, you can still thoroughly enjoy just because they're so nice. They're so crisp and clean, and the whole thing just feels like polished stainless steel. It's awesome. I love it.
It is very funky, freaky. I would describe it like that. I don't want to go back to the "it's just me" again, but the way it's kind of like, it's very chaotic at points, and it kind of like, it's a cacophony of a bunch of different instruments all kind of just slamming at each other in just a way where it doesn't sound like people like practicing for a band, more like actual instrumentation. He does that a lot. A lot of like the times at the end of the songs where he's building up to a big climax and a release, he'll end up doing that, and it's very, very good. It almost to me illustrates like a thought process that I can totally get, where it's just like a ton of intersecting ideas and concepts and thoughts and everything like that all bashing together at once, like vying for control, but not without like direction. You could still see the song is moving forward. It still has like a central line that is hovering around. It's just like the line it takes is going up and wibbly wobbly, in every single direction. And to me, that I think really like what is it? Cooperates, assist the major themes because it's underlying that tone of what is it like instability and the way it can kind of just push forward and kind of almost reach and pull. It's just like, again, going back to the theme of desperation, just absolutely takes what might be some, really solid lyrics that are obviously banger on their own and makes it just like, oh my fucking god, what are they doing?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. A lot of the more chaotic moments on the album do enhance the emotion quite a bit. Like, going back to Blues, the ending of that track would be powerful without the instrumentation. Like, the things he's saying are like, ow, oof, ouchie, ooh, But the fact that the instrumentals just keep piling new things on top, and it just builds and builds, and it feels like you are being thrown around in a tornado of different drums and guitar riffs, and like it's wild, and it adds to the sort of just bizarre like nature of the lyrics about being like your different body parts leaving you or betraying you, and like all that stuff. It's so
Blues is really, really heavy with that too. It's one of those songs that's like, I think its major like lines basically is being recognized and being like, I don't really have any substance as a person, I feel like, so I need to get other people in my life in order to give me substance, that kind of thing, which again to me is very relatable. It is hee hee ho ho. And it keeps going on like that. The way it's, I feel like I'm gonna say the same thing over and over again if I don't, if I keep doing that show. I'll hold my tongue, but Blues is very, very good at doing that. It's all like a layer upon a layer upon a layer that both like the instrumentation does, as well as the songs themselves as you keep going through it. It's not like it's building, I want to say, a cohesive story, but a story does come out of it, I think.
Yeah.
Especially by the end, where you kind of, I think past Motorbike is where the story kind of really pops out, if you ask me.
Motorbike. I kind of love Motorbike, like really weirdly, because I think it was one of my lesser favorites when I first listened to the record. But man, some of the like Seth Evans, he's the one song on the album that isn't sung by Geordie Greep. He killed it on that song. Like
he did. He really did.
Especially like the opening bit. I feel so like it puts me there. It puts me in that scenario where I feel like I'm just sitting there observing something that I should be loving and that should be great, but I just feel this melancholy, this weight, and it captures that so well, both in the vocal cadence and what he's actually saying. And Motorbike's just a great song, and the way we talk about the chaotic instrumentation, that song explodes too as it builds and gets to its main climax. Like, it's remarkable.
I think it's really interesting too that they did decide to switch out Geordie Greep for Seth. I think it's indicative at this point, basically in the story. It's like the implication is that Geordie ended up, or the narrator, rather, ended up marrying the prostitute and realizing, hey, this fulfillment, like this feeling I had when I was with this person, this moment doesn't actually exist. It's not really there, and I'm starting to really regret I did this in the first place. And I think the fact they switch it out with Seth is really like indicative of like a new perspective. It feels like almost a different person, and immediately backtracking. I think it's also funny, Motorbike has a lot of themes of like midlife crises.
Oh, true.
Like that's why it's named Motorbike, right? Because he ends up buying a motorbike during the song.
To ride and ride and ride.
Exactly.
His
just to see me riding away, just to
VMAX engine.
Just to catch a glimpse of my brand new engine,
yeah.
VX.
His VMAX engine. His sick ass bike. Everybody's going, they're oogling at it. They're going, whoa! Even though he sold everything his wife ever gave him to buy it, making a fortune off that loan. It's a really like wild song. It does feel kind of like going insane, even though like you can kind of almost empathize at the start, and then it just goes off the rails. I really like it.
Mhm.
I don't know how much I
Mhm.
would actually agree that it ties with the rest of the record, but it definitely does. It's the same thing with tracks like Through a War or Walk Up, where I feel like they loosely connect with the album, but they're not quite like the main story of the record with this one character is like Blues maybe, Holy Holy, As If Waltz the Magician, If You Are But a Dream, you know? Like those, and also Terra. I want to talk about Terra as well. That track is one of my faves. Is like, I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit of a freak when it comes to the first 3 songs on the record. I actually prefer both Blues and Terra to Holy Holy, which I get is a personal preference thing. I think Holy Holy is easily the most fun. Let's make that clear. That song has an amazing sound, great storytelling, but I resonate with the first 2 songs way more. And I think that's what does it for me. Like Terra with this longing to be remembered, this like clutching on to any sort of view other people have of you, and like that need for validation. Like what was it? It's like, dig up my corpse, shake his hand, tell yourself he was a great man. Like that line.
Oh, it's a good line.
That whole song, and the way he's just crying out, "Please remember me," it very much like it hits. And sonically, I think it's also like probably the prettiest song on the whole record that isn't an instrumental. Like it is just like this salsa kind of like vibe, and it's really well done.
It makes the way he does it, the feelings like these saying like, remember me, like, please just think about me, please let me know that you when I'm gone, I'm still in your head, and you're like, I am a factor in your life rather than just a thing that appears and disappears as soon as they enter and exit the room, which, by the way, very real. And the way it kind of portrays this song, the way it tears you down, it makes it feel like childish, like you're a lesser person for thinking like that. You are basically, you're 5 years old and you're screaming at your mom for attention. And I kind of want to say that while that should be absolutely recognized, that's not an unnatural way to feel at all.
No.
People want to be thought about when they're not in their, like, you want to be recognized and felt like you're recognized by the people around you. If you're not, you're going to feel like you're just in the shit. It's a completely normal human thing. And I do feel like Geordie does recognize that. He just recognizes also the fact that you should be aware of that. You should be self-aware, which I think is another big thing of the album, is self-awareness. And as for the, what was I going to say, connection between this and Holy Holy, I do definitely agree that I think, I do like Holy Holy, I think just a bit more, but I do think the first 2 are much more beautiful and much more evocative, while Holy Holy is more of just like a story. It is like you can clearly see what's being told, as compared like to Terra, which is more like putting down feelings onto a page. You know what I mean?
Felix? Who's Felix?
I don't know why I said Felix. I didn't mean to say that.
Why are you pointing him down on a page? That sounds rude. What did he do to you?
I'm sorry. Guys, if your name's Felix, I want you to know I have nothing against you.
He hates
I would
you.
never.
He would point you on a page.
I would never ship you live bees, 1 million of them.
What? What? You're gonna...
I would never do it. I would never do it. That's what I said.
Oh my god.
Why would I do that?
Okay. Yeah. No. You're good. You're good. Sure. Yeah. No bees. I want to talk more about Holy Holy, because I feel like we keep mentioning that track and then not actually diving into it. It was the lead single. Frankly, could not have chosen a better song for it. Just because it's so instantly memorable, catchy, straightforward in its storytelling, and is also very central to the album's themes. It's literally just about a guy who is trying to make everybody around him convinced that he is the greatest mother fricker to ever walk the earth. Look at me. All the ladies love me. I'm holy on the dance floor. Everybody knows I'm holy. I'm the best. Everybody knows my name in every language. And it's really just him putting on a show, paying somebody to help him sell this story. And I think it's really powerful. It's not necessarily like as personal as maybe the previous 2 tracks to it, or something like The Magician, but it's very necessary.
it's interesting. The track kind of opens up saying, "Hey, I could tell you're lonely from the moment you walked in," and he kind of goes on saying like, "I knew about you. I seen you walking around here." There's a bit of almost like an undertone of setting a narrative, setting control, and kind of building up this image of yourself, over this individual, this person, because you're immediately establishing like a, I know about you. I know all about you. Frankly, you're beneath me, that kind of thing. Not that exactly. But and it does get like a bit ham-fisted with the way it kind of says, "I'm literally holy, holy," but that's the point. That's the point. Like,
Yeah.
he thinks he's the greatest person alive, and it's like a means of representing your own self-image, like the way you portray yourself to others. And I quite enjoy that. As me as a person, I do try and put on a very, very solid self-image of control, of like an air of just always being on top of things and myself and my feelings and like that kind of business. And it's definitely the same here. Just like, hey, I'm like the greatest person ever. I got everything fucking sorted. You should like come with me and like we'll have sex in the bathroom over there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
I was going to say a neat little detail in Holy Holy that I don't know if it's just me reading way too far into it, but I think it's pretty cool, was at the start of I think it's the second verse, where he goes, "You know my name? Of course you know my name." I feel like that's almost like a mistake, maybe? Like, maybe the lady that he's paying says his name without him telling her. And then he just kind of rolls with it. Like, of course you know my name. Everybody does. It's true. It's true. I'm known around here. Like, he immediately plays it up as like, oh yeah, duh, of course you know my name. But almost the way it's delivered makes it feel like it was a mistake, which is like the first crack in the mask. Again, that could be me reading way too far into it, but I like interpreting that way. I think it's cool.
I kind of agree, honestly. You mentioned that. I think I agree with that sentiment. I didn't really think about it like that. I didn't really think about it. You've opened my eyes. I think, and definitely as well, once you get past like 3:45, the mask just completely slips off. It's like, okay, so you're gonna come to my house, and I want you to dress like this, and I want you to come to me and say I'm beautiful, and I want you to say, and I want you to like hold me, and then I want you to kiss me, and then I want you to say like my hair's really nice. Like, it's like all these things. It's like, I want you to do this and this and this and this. It brings out like a nature of just like, please, 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 I need you to do all these things. It needs to be just right too. And if you're gonna fill this hole in my heart, it needs to be just like this. It's almost like a neurotic perfectionism just edging its way on out, where it's like, it's one of those things where like, you know, someone is like, oh, they seem cool on the outside. Then immediately as like you get into a more personal conversation with them, they open up into some shit like this. And you're like, oh, you're one of those people. Oh, and
Yep.
it's very, very well done, because it's like he's still maintaining that confident nature, like on the very, very cusp of it, but it's slipping away, because if you're actually listening to what the hell he's saying and not being wowed by this pizzazz he's tossing up in your face and like trying to blind you, it's like, oh, he's a freak. He's a freak. We're dealing with a certified freak here.
Yeah.
And I get that. It's kind of like imagining in your head like this perfect scenario in your life with someone or some moment that has to be just perfect, and it has to go just an exact way. And if it doesn't go that way in your head, it's not going to be satisfying. It's not going to be worth it. So you're just like completely hyper fixated, controlling over a situation just to make sure that's happening. And I understand that. Don't do that, but I understand that.
Don't do that. Definitely don't do that. But in terms of like, I definitely get the whole like, despite the pizzazz, you can kind of tell he's a freak. Through a War does this too. I don't think it's like quite as effective as Holy Holy, but that track is so wild in how like unhinged it is about similar
really
things.
is.
Like the whole I made them carve my name on every piece of gold, and I made them carve yours everywhere. Like this obsessive like power trip.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I love the way the song ends too. One of the funniest lines in the song is like, "Do you know what courage looks like? Have you ever seen a woman give birth to a goat? That's what courage looks like." I think that was pretty funny.
Through War is really interesting too, because it's portraying itself a bit differently. Instead of just being a holy being, it's almost like, I'm gonna steal from Genius from this. I'm gonna steal from some Genius comments. I'm not gonna credit them because fuck you. He's like portraying himself as almost like a warlord, like someone that's that's taken over an area, and it's like I'm in control. I'm on top of it all, and me and my boys, we're causing a ruckus on the market and that kind of business. And still, like, and what was that one line that you just mentioned? The one about the gold. I have this on here. Not that. Not
I
that.
made them carve my face onto every piece of gold. I made them carve yours everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's he puts himself still below this person, which really like indicates like Holy does his very obsessive nature. I myself am quite an obsessive person. I can get obsessed over things I'm interested in, and every once in a blue moon, it can be over a person. I don't consider myself a very romantically inclined person, but there is one individual that I've known in my life that I acknowledge now that I did have feelings for. It made it kind of worse too because that relationship would never have worked in any world. But I do totally like remember looking back on that and still look back on that now and realize just like, yeah, I was kind of doing that as well. Just like doing everything to put this person like on a pedestal in my life because I didn't know what other way to get like to form a connection because it kind of goes back to that theme of not really being substantial on your own, like feeling like you're hollow inside. Don't really feel like you have much character, much like of a personality when you're not around people to give it to you. They have to breathe life into you, so you fill your life with other people. In this case, it's a prostitute. For you, it might be a little bit different, and it's really interesting. I think just a lot of the metaphors they end up using in these songs are really interesting. Geordie Greep has a very good way of just describing things, even if he does break off into nonsense sometimes. But to be fair, I love the nonsense.
Oh
Courage
yeah,
does look like a woman giving birth to a baby goat.
so true, so true. But there is definitely a lot to be said about the whole taking value from other people and feeling like you have nothing yourself. Like the ending of The Magician, the last like bit of lyrics that are almost obscured behind the instrumentation. I love the genius annotation on it where it talked about like the magician disappears after a while, not because of a trick, but because people just stop perceiving him. They just stop paying attention to him. He feels like there's nothing, there's no worth. He just kind of vanishes due to not having any connection to anybody, and that's like, ow.
Yeah. You see, it did kill me. Like Geordie Greep just came in with like a double-barreled shotgun and just shot me in the chest when he starts bringing out lines like that. I was freaking out, dude. I was freaking out. I was tweaking. Like seriously, like a magician that disappears and never reappears. Like a magician disappears from no one. He speaks until his voice becomes sand and disappears after a while. That's the last few lyrics. Why do you do this to me? I freak.
It reads like a goddamn Bible verse. It's like
it does.
It's
like
amazing.
Put this on your wall and say it to yourself every single morning. You need to remember this. You need to remember this line, all right, and apply it to your life and internalize it.
Oh my god. Maybe not that. That seems a bit much. I don't know.
I just told you I was an obsessive person. You making fun of me?
No, I'm just keeping you in check.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that.
I do love how this album has almost a little bit of that denial, even after the magician just completely rips everything apart. With the closing track, which is the cover of the Frank Sinatra song, If You Are But a Dream. I like this one a lot. I think Geordie kills it on the cover, but I think thematically it really wraps everything together very well. As a lot of the things that Geordie was longing for, or whoever perspective on this album is, are very imaginary, and the magician highlights that. And I think If You Are But a Dream very much feels like that last denial of trying to just hold on to things, like that if you are but a dream, I hope I never waken, which I think is really heavy. For as simple of a song as If You Are But a Dream is, I mean, it's just a love song, but it puts a whole new lens on it from the perspective of this album. And I like it when people do that with covers.
It's a very nice cap. It is a cover, so I personally can't say too much. There's a cover, and there's basically two instrumentals on the song that I can't say too much to, other than they're pretty good. I enjoy them, but that's about all I can really say. I think, as in terms of those three, I do think If You Are But a Dream has the most thematic like resonance to it. It makes the most sense with an end, like holding on to that idea of a person. Uh, maybe that maybe wasn't even there in the first place. It almost makes me think like this entire story that was told didn't happen over like 20 years. It happened over like one night. This dude got a prostitute. He had like the best sex of his entire life. Then
And it
he
just
is like sitting there
destroyed him.
in bed, is staring at the ceiling, and he goes through all of this in like the course of an hour. That's the entire plot.
He
I
just
like to imagine.
he just is like experiencing the record in real time. It's just
Yeah, exactly.
no. What do you mean? I mean, we can both agree that the best track on the record is Bongo Season, right?
Well, according to the Genius annotation, it's a very important thing we should say. The quote from the Genius annotation: he plays the bongos, 100%.
Yeah, and it was great. I really like Bongo Season. It makes me happy.
I'm glad.
Same thing with the new sound.
I
I just
liked
really
it
like the
too.
instrumentals. I mean, like, it allows me to experience this album sound in a way that doesn't rip me apart. Holy Holy kind of does too, but the prettier sides of this record, I guess I should say, I can very much get out of the instrumentals. And I like that they're here. I think they break up the album a little bit and feel welcome, especially because they're great instrumentals. I mean, the new sound, like the title track, is one of my favorite instrumentals I've ever heard. It's just got such a great progression and feeling to it, and it sounds like the rest of the album does, immaculate.
Yeah, if you're just interested in the instrumentals, I would listen to that. Like I could. That's the thing, is that I could kind of understand when you said it at the beginning, like me thinking this a bit like pretentious. I can totally understand why I'd think that. I think you kind of have to have a bit of an acquired taste to enjoy an album like this, because it's very, very its own thing. It doesn't really care to be very much like, oh, we're in line with a genre, or say. So what he just kind of wants to do is we're just gonna do this. Just bring out like that guitar and that drum set over there, and just like let's just set fire to this entire building, and then we'll do some lyrics over that.
As a cool bug that I found would probably say, it's very avant-garde-y.
It is very avant-garde. I would totally agree with that.
But no, I mean, it is avant-prog. That is like one of the big things about it, and it definitely shows the more fun and exciting sides of that genre throughout the whole thing. I mean, the unique progressions, the wacky, wild instrumentation, the non-traditional like use of them is great. I love it. The new sound is really good. I think I've said that about 5
It does
times
sound very well.
already.
Guys, we're good at describing things because we can say they're good like 5 or 6 times just to really convince you that they're good.
Because they're really good.
You should trust us.
Oh, yeah.
They are really good.
And we're really handsome.
True. Do you mean that? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, sorry. I was talking
That's
to my
so nice of you to
reflection.
say.
And I've got my personal mirror up. You're all right, too. No. It's okay. No, chin up.
My ego is made out of sand. It's like a castle. It looks really beautiful, but the slightest thing happens, it gets a little too hot. There's a little bit of like a rising of the tide, and it all comes crumbling down, and then the misery takes hold.
Hi,
You know what I mean?
it's me, the Rising of the Tide. I want to show you this album called The New Sound by Geordie Greep. I'm sure your ego can withstand it.
I'm standing there with like a lollipop and like one of those propeller hats. Oh, God, please show me the new sound, Mr. Rising Tide. That would be brilliant.
Oh my god, that's it's awful. But yeah, I think that about covers the record. Honestly, I'm really glad you liked it as much as you did.
I did want to say one thing. I did mention that there was one part that did make me tear up, and I wanted to read over this quick line really quickly. It's in As If Waltz. It's when the second chorus starts, I think. It is to tell my mom I love you, to tell the world I need you, to never tell your secret, to pretend I've more to say than how much, to pretend more to do together than fuck, to pretend to be with you for more than an hour, to be with you for more than an hour. For a second, I was like, I was like a dude, like at like a bulkhead door with zombies behind it, just like holding it back.
You're trying to keep the straight face
That
during
was
the
really
movie when
profound
you
to
watch
me.
like the love interest die, and you're like, don't cry, you're a man's man. You gotta lock in. You can't be crying at movies now. It's not.
it's just that desire for connection in basically every single aspect, not just like, a physical sex connection, which is a big thing in the song. It's also something personal. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to just know this person in that aspect. You want to know every single part of them. And I understand that feeling. And that just, it hurt. In a good way, but it hurt. I don't really think I have any like actual big complaints about this album either. I was trying to think, like, if I were to say something I don't like, probably would only have to be some of the like some of the songs just don't hit as hard as the others. I think when it comes to like the songs Through a War and Walk Up are really good, but they just don't hit as hard nearly anything else, and they kind of feel just a bit repetitive to me. They don't really bring on anything new. They just kind of reestablish the same idea. But that's not bad to me. I don't really care that much. This album is basically, in my opinion, as close as perfect as going to get. I enjoyed every single fucking second of it. Down to the marrow. Is so good.
What would you give it?
97. Maybe a 98.
Oh, whoa.
If I had listened to this last year, it would have been my album of the year, like hands down. I liked Nobody's Listening. That was also another really good one. But this just hit me so much harder than that one did.
Yeah, no. Okay, that is fair. I don't know if I'd give it as high of a rating. Because, like I said, I prefer Nobody's Listening. Honestly, I might prefer Smile by Porter Robinson. But I do absolutely adore the new sound, and I would give it a very enthusiastic, at least 92, probably more like 3 or 4. I think it's an incredibly powerful record with just, it takes everything I absolutely love about Geordie Greep and everything that he's done and just piles on even more of it. More personality, more personal connection, more fun. It's just more Greep, and I love it. I'm a chronic Greeper. I can't stop Greeping.
More.
I'm a Greep. I'm a weirdo. You're right, that sucked. You're right, that's pretty terrible.
You should feel ashamed for that
I do.
one.
No, I do. You're right.
Can you apologize to the viewers
I'm
for
sorry.
that? That was just.
I'm really sorry. Well, next week, we're gonna listen to this album right here. This one. It's basically what the new sound did to you. It did that to me. Okay. So, yeah. Stay tuned, gang. We'll be back next week. We should be on schedule now. I know the past 2 videos have come out on Wednesdays. This should be coming out on Monday. I'm very excited for next week. We should be releasing these on Monday now. Music Box Mondays, alliteration, woo. And it just works out schedule-wise. But we'll see you guys then. Bye. No, I didn't. I did not. No, I stop. No, I literally just edit. No.